So let's create the second function, which is going to register our user so that we can practice. I have a small typo here. So say class func register user, and here we are going to say with, and we have email. We provide a string and the password. We provide a string, and also here we have our completion handler. And here we are going to return only our error. So we want to be notified in case our registration was not successful and we have received some error. And there is no return here, so I say void. So in our register function, again, we are accessing our authentication. We initialize it, and then we say create user with email. There are other ways to create a user, but we are going to create one with email address and the password. So here I'm passing my email and my password, and completion, we will receive auth data result and error. So I call my variables the way I want them. You can name this anything you want, by the way. And once you are done, what we want to do is we're going to call our completion, because again, this code is running in background, and as soon as our registration is finished, we want to notify the function that called this that we have finished our registration. So I'm going to say completion, and I pass my error. So if we had any error here, it's going to be passed, otherwise this will be nil, and we just pass to our completion handler that we had no errors. And then I'm going to say if error is equals to nil, so it means our error is nil, we have no errors and everything was successful, we want to send a verification email to that email address. So I'm going to access my auth data result. I'm going to unwrap this, access the user object, and we can safely unwrap this because if there are no errors, it means we have auth data result object. Then we access my user object, and here I can say send verification email, and we want the one with completion handler, and this is again part of Firebase authentication class, so these functions all exist, and here we just simply enter on it and provide an error variable name. So what this function will do is send an automatic verification email to the email address that our user has registered. So I'm going to just, for our information, do a print here and say verification email send. And also I want to say that error is, and in case if there was an error, I want to pass it here. Say error dot localize description. So if we had no error, this will just be nil, and our printout will be like verification email send, error is, and then it will be a nil. Let's remove an empty lines from here, and what I want to do now is to try and go to my login screen here. So we have our sign up user function here. So I want to try and create a user now. So let's call this function. I will say f user dot register user with email, and here we are going to pass our email and our password that we have received. So my email is going to be the email on top, and password is going to be password on top here. But before we do that, actually, since we have password and repeat password, we want to make sure that our user actually type the password and the repeat password, that the two passwords actually match. So we want to first check if email is not equals to empty string and password is not equals to empty string, then we proceed. Otherwise, we are going to notify our user that email or password must be set. And once we have email and password, we can actually include here repeat password not equals to empty string as well. Once we have all three, we want to check if these two are match. So we say if password is equals to the repeat password, then we proceed. Otherwise, I'm going to just put here else, and let's put print email and password must be set. And here we will say else, we say print passwords don't match. And let's get rid of these empty lines here. Okay, so we have two if statements, and only once both of them are true, so this is true and this is true, and here we want to call our register user function, and I can pass my email here and my password. Completion, just hit enter on it. We call this error, and here we are going to check if we have received any error from our function there. So we say if error is not equals to nil, it means we have received an error and our user wasn't registered. I'm going to say print, say error registering user, and let's pass our error here. We say error for unwrap this, and we say localized description. And also, if we have any errors, I want to call return here, so that the rest of the code here will not run. Otherwise, if there was no error, here we can move our login screen and get back to our application. So we say go back to the app. But there is another thing we need to do here. We have to check if the onboarding was completed. So I will put a note here. Check if user onboarding is done. Okay, and let's just for now have a print. We say user has been created. All right, let's run our application, and we are going to sign in and create our first user.